We can start, ma'am. Shoma, ma'am, we can start.
Okay, ready? All right. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Very nice to see our new members of the DSB family once again. So welcome. And I'm sure you'll have a very nice and knowledgeable session from one of our very well-liked professors with whom you have been interacting a lot. But today you see her in a new avatar, not as the admission chairperson. So Professor Nirja Arora completed her PGDM from IIM Calcutta in 91. Then she was a management consultant with Price Waterhouse. She has also worked with Ballarpur Industries and IBM, and she held leading roles handling the design, development, and implementation of various software projects while in these organizations. So after getting about 12 years of very rich industry experience, Professor Arora thought it would be better to shift to academics. So she has been teaching business statistics, operations research, business research methods, business analytics as visiting faculty positions at various institutes like Shriram College of Commerce, Rajiv Gandhi Institute of Petroleum Technology, and Infinity Business School. She has been a full-time faculty here at Delhi School of Business for the last 4 years. So what is Professor Arora planning to cover today? What is she going to interest you with? We all are aware that there is a lot of data available in today's world. There is an overload of data from various sources. But how do you leverage this data so that you get operational efficiencies? That is the main question. So she's going to talk about how you can transform the data to help organizations in diagnosing various problems that they have, how to chart a roadmap, and how you can use all this data in strategic decision making. So how do we get this data to design data-driven marketing campaigns? So all kinds of questions that may be arising in your mind and in the minds of a lot of people will be covered today by Professor Arora. Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you, Shoma ma'am, for a lovely introduction. I'd love to now just share my screen before I start off. So can everyone see the screen?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
I think so.
Okay.
Yes.
Give me a minute. All right. So today we are going to be, good morning, one and all. Today we are going to be talking about how, like I said, we get a lot of data, raw data from a lot of sources. How we are going to, use analytics to help us, get into the pyramid of information, and how do we use it as knowledge. Essentially, what we are doing is the raw data that is coming from various sources. We need to do some kind of analytics so that the organizations can leverage that information and gather insights, work on them, help them to achieve their goals, help them in strategic decision making, help them to achieve operational efficiencies. Now, what I'm going to do today is, in today's webinar, what I've got, is really data from various domains. As you know, today analytics is very important in every domain, be it HR or operations or marketing, finance. So what I have done today really is I have got data, raw data from various sources. And today what I'm going to do is just show you a glimpse of how we can work on this data, what kind of analysis we can do, and essentially how it is going to help us. This, I hope, will give you a flavor of what you can do when you, have access to the data. So essentially, analytics is categorized into, let's say, these 4 categories. We say there is descriptive analytics, there is diagnostic analytics, predictive, and prescriptive. Now, essentially, these categories are not really watertight compartments. It essentially comprises of a set of tools and techniques. Now, depending on what kind of data you have, what kind of analysis you do on it, and what is the outcome, and how is that information or knowledge or wisdom going to help you. Depending on that is how we make these sort of categorizations. But like I said before, it's not really a watertight compartment. It's like you could use these terms are very loosely defined. Okay, so let's talk about a little about descriptive analytics. Now, essentially what does descriptive analytics do? The data that you're getting from, let's say, various departments, from various sources, descriptive analytics essentially says, okay, so this is what is happening in the organization. And when I'm talking of descriptive analytics, effective visualization is very important because you have humongous amount of data. And how do you sort of get a bird's eye view of what is happening in the company? There are various branches, there are various offices, various departments. How do you know what is going wrong? Where do you need to focus your attention? And for this reason, we use visualization to a lot of extent in descriptive analytics. Now, once you have understood where the problem area is, you now move into diagnostic analytics, which is you use a set of tools and techniques so that you are able to drill down to the root cause of the problem. Descriptive analytics helps you to focus where the problem area is. Diagnostic analytics helps you to go deep down and figure out what is causing the problem. Okay, so because only when you know what the problem is, can you actually go and solve it. Now, when I use, let's say, last year trends, the last few years trends, and figure out, sales has been moving in this direction. This is how my revenues have been moving. This is how my profits have been moving. This is how I've been doing in the market. My market shares have been moving in this direction. Now, so how do I use that information to sort of predict what is going to happen in the future? When I use those kind of tools and techniques, I essentially call them, I put them under the domain of predictive analytics. Here, I'm going to use a few tools and techniques, few algorithms, etc., to predict what is going to happen in the future. Now, essentially, in predictive analytics, what we are really assuming that everything else is constant. All the other market conditions, the environmental conditions remaining the same, how will the company move forward in the next few years? Now, let's come to prescriptive analytics. Now, this essentially, in this domain, you have a set of tools and techniques, which are essentially saying that, okay, the organization has to achieve this objective. So what are the two, in which direction should I move? So there are a few constraints that the organization faces. There are a few objectives that we have to, meet. So what should be the optimal use of resources so that I can achieve that goal? So essentially, prescriptive analytics is essentially giving you a roadmap for the organization to move forward. Okay. So having explained briefly these four kind of analytics, what I'll do is I'll start with, let's say, descriptive analytics. Now, like I said before, when we're talking about descriptive analytics, some kind of summary or some kind of visual analytics really helps us a lot because we've got a huge amount of data from everywhere. So how are we going to sort of summarize it and get a bird's eye view into the data? Now, for example, a few days back, I got this information about, I had this data about in India, the 18 plus population. What is the percentage of 18 plus population which has got vaccinated in India? Now, that raw data that I got, I very quickly put it onto a map. And if you look at the map, you can very easily see that, the darker shades on the map are those states and union territories which are doing very well. And as the shades go lighter, those states are not doing too well. So now my question to you is, of course, we can see Ladakh is doing very well in terms of the percentage population which is getting vaccinated. Can you now tell me which are the other states and union territories following Ladakh which are doing well? You could put it in the chat box. Could I have some answers, please? Anyone? Yeah, Rajasthan, Gujarat, yes. Jammu and Kashmir, very good. Okay, so these states are doing well. Now, very good. Now, my next question to you is, straight away, when I look at this map, okay, so these states are doing well. Where would be the problem areas? Which are the states which are not doing well? My next question to you, which are the states which are not doing well, where I need to focus my attention? Okay, so someone is saying Tamil Nadu, yes. UP, yes. So you clearly from this map, you can see that, let's say, Tamil Nadu and UP are not doing well. Now, even if it is not very clear from this map, what I did was, I said, okay, let's, the same data, raw data, at the click of a button, I said, let me transform it into a, just give me a minute. Let me transform it into a map like this. And from here, I can see that Ladakh and Sikkim, of course, are doing well. Tripura is doing well. Himachal Pradesh is doing well. Now, which are my problem areas? Which are at the bottom of the pyramid. So you see these 4 states which are not doing well. So you have Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh. Yeah? So these 4 states is where I need to ramp up the vaccination drive, where I need to focus on. So essentially, like I said earlier, visual analytics plays a very important role in how you can sort of look at least focus on the problem areas. Now, once these problem areas are recognized, you can start working on them and, and solve those. Okay. So the next, what I tried to do was, okay, I got some information, I got some raw data from human resources. So I had this information about a particular company, which had, let's say, 3 departments. It had the HR department, the R&D department, and the sales. Okay. And this was a data of attrition, which means people leaving the company. Now, of course, this data was available in raw form. I had a lot of data. Now, what I've done for you is sort of summarized it and put it here. Now, could you look at this table and tell me where, which departments there is high attrition? And, looking at the data, can you tell me which departments are facing a problem? Where is the problem? In which departments are more number of people leaving? Any answers? Yeah, so someone is saying R&D department. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, someone said HR. All right. All right. So I've got a few answers. Now, essentially, what we need to see is, let's not go by absolute numbers. Now, in HR department, there were 63 people, but 12 left. In R&D, there were 961 people, out of which 133 numbers left. Now, since you're comparing different numbers, different denominators, if I were to convert this into percentages, the kind of information that I would get is this. When I convert these numbers into percentages, I actually get to see that there are more number of people leaving in the sales department, followed by the HR department, whereas the R&D is doing pretty well. So essentially, my problem areas are the sales in the HR department, not the R&D. Okay. Now, what I could do is, to this analysis, I could also add the gender dimension. I have a lot of raw data. So I could, according to what I want to figure out, what I want to dive deeper into, I could figure out, okay, let me look at the gender dimension. Now, among the people who are leaving, is there a significant difference between males and females who are leaving? And within the departments, so what do I get to see? Okay, so in the sales department, there are more number of higher percentage of males who have left. In R&D, again, there's a higher percentage of males who have left. In HR, there are an equal percentage. Okay, so at least with all the raw data I have, when you look at data, there are a lot of questions which come to your mind, and all that you need to do is there are a lot of software tools available where you can, if you know what test to perform, you can sort of at the click of a button convert that data into those tests and try and get some insights or some results. Okay, now let's look at, I got an example from the marketing domain. I had, let's say, point of sales data. So all of us go to, outlets like Big Bazaar, Easy Day, whatever. And so this particular retail outlet had 6 categories of products. They had, let's say, vegetables, fruits, milk, meat, baby products, beer, etc. And here what you see, days of the week is essentially, let's say 1 is for Monday, 2 is for Tuesday, 7 is for Sunday. Essentially what they're saying is that, the first transaction, if you see, this transaction happened on a Friday, and this person bought vegetables, milk, and meat. So whatever products he bought, there is a 1 there. Whatever he didn't buy, there is a 0 there. Now, I have this huge data of, let's say, a month or 2 months available to me. And I need to how do I look at it? I get so overwhelmed. Okay, the first thing that I go for is descriptive analytics. So what I do is clearly I say, okay, let's first of all look at this. Days of the week. I put all the data in terms of days of the week. I've converted the sales into percentages. Okay, whenever he bought whatever category of products. And as you can see, the different colored charts are for the various categories. Now, as soon as you look at this chart, what is the 1 or 2 most important striking features that, you can sort of see from here? I have a few answers in the chat box. What are the 1 or 2 things that strike you when you look at this particular visual description of that data? Veg and baby products. Yeah, what about veg and baby products? Anyone else? Other people? I got an answer from Shonali. Can I have more answers, please? Anything that strikes you when you look at this chart? Beer has the highest sale on Thursday. Yes, Isha, you're right. Along with beer, do we have anything else that is selling, Isha, on Thursday? Now, why the sale on Thursday was more, we will talk about it, Keshav. We have to find a reason. But of course, like Isha mentioned, beer has the highest sale on Thursday. And do you also get to see that along with beer, baby products are selling on highest on Thursday? Okay. So what it really says that there is probably a connection between baby products and beer. So maybe it so happens that people who have babies, they're probably stocking up for the weekend, and so they have little babies at home, so they're buying things like baby products, food products, diapers, and they're also buying beer for themselves. Okay, so that could be one possible reason. Anyway, it's given us a direction to look into. The descriptive analytics, the visual description of the data has at least given us a sort of direction to look at. Let's dig deeper and try and do what I call a market basket analysis. Now, in this market basket analysis, what we're going to do, it's essentially a data mining technique, which is going to find the associations between products. So which category of products get bought together? We need to know how the consumer is behaving, because only when we understand the consumer are we going to stock up accordingly. All right. So what we do is we try and calculate the we do the market basket analysis, where exactly what you're doing is you're calculating the lift of various products. Now, what I'm going to do is, of course, like you had the raw data, I'm not going to actually go into how you calculated this, because this is what you will be learning in your courses at DSB. I'm just showing you the output of the lift analysis. Now, as you can see, the diagonal elements which I've marked in red, essentially it shows that vegetables with vegetables, the lift or the association is 1. Again, baby products with baby products, the association is 1. Now, you also see that the upper right corner, which is above the diagonal, the submatrix, is a mirror reflection of the lower left submatrix. So baby and vegetables, the association is 0.96, whichever way you read it, row and column wise. Okay. Now, what does this mean? What do these numbers mean? 0.96, 0.99, 1.06. What do these mean? Now, essentially, we say that these are lifts of the items, and an association or a lift of more than 1.00 is considered to be good, because we say that there is more probability that these two categories of products will get picked together. Now, when I scan the whole matrix, I get to see that 1.4 is the highest number in this matrix. And where is this 1.4 association that I'm getting from? Baby products and beer, right? And this is the same result which I got through descriptive analytics. So market basket analysis is actually confirming what I saw in that graph earlier, right? Now, having calculated the lift, having calculated this array of lifts of various items, the association of various product categories, my question, would be, or if I was heading that retail outlet, my the objective before would be, how do I sort of arrange these these products in my store so that I am able to maximize lift. Now, having calculated that market basket analysis, I do a little more analysis, and then Excel gives me a recommendation and says, okay, this is how you need to place your products. This is for optimal selling so that you can maximize your revenue. This is how you need to place your products in the store so that you will have maximum sales. So you see baby and beer products together, vegetables and fruits together. So whatever. So essentially, it just goes through, let's say, a solver, an algorithm. How to plug in those formulae, how to conduct this analysis, how to come out with the store layout is what you will be studying in your, courses at DSP. So I'm not going to get into that really. I've just shown you the. So what really we are talking about, the store layout, is actually a planogram. Now, retail outlets, before they start putting things in place, they on paper, on their drawing board, they actually sit down and put their head onto what has to be where. So, for example, you see that the customer walks in through this, blue. This is his entry point. On the left, he has vegetables, fruits, fresh produce. He also has frozen produce at the back. He has dairy items here. And so all these products are going to be placed to his left. On to the right, you're going to have, things like dals and oils and all those stuff, packaged stuff, biscuits and all those kind of stuff. Then you have toiletries, your pharmaceutical items, and he walks through the door, he collects whatever he wants, and then goes to the point of sale to pay his bill. So there's a lot of planning which actually goes into where should we put what. Now, analytics is a constant exercise. So as the consumer behaves, every second, third week, fourth week, you collect that data, and you need to keep churning out depending on how he is behaving. You will have to keep moving the sections. Now, for example, this is another planogram. You have sections for boys clothing, girls clothing, women's clothing, men's clothing, etc. You have, stationery, home decor items, etc., sporting goods. Now, even within these sections, which brands should I put in the front? Which should I put in the middle? Which should I put in the back? Now, all that is constantly being changed through analytics. So all that point of sales data, which is being accumulated when you buy, when you go and buy, all that data is being fed into the computer, and some kind of an analytics is done, some analysis done, some algorithms are run by which you figure out which brands you need to put in the front, which in the middle, and which at the back. Now, for example, so what we're essentially saying is that there is an ongoing battle for product placement, which, like I said, so what they do is, let's say they would put a particular brand on the top shelf for a few days, okay, and then in the middle shelf for a few days, and then in the bottom shelf for a few days. And then they would check sales. Like, for example, for a short person like me, if there was something on the top shelf, I would probably not be able to reach it unless I had an attendant who was, trying to help me. Otherwise, I would just say, forget it. I'm just buying something on the bottom shelf or on the, middle shelf. So depending on this, like, they would place the products on various shelves, and over, let's say, 2-3 weeks, they would collect data and figure out about where, the package should be placed. So does it sell more if it is on the top, middle, or bottom shelf? Do cookies sell more if they are placed in a separate cookie section, or if they are placed in the chocolate and candy section, or if they are placed in the cereal section? All this is collected over 2-3 weeks. The data is churned out, a lot of analytics is done, and then they come to a conclusion. Again, in social media, if you release an ad, or is the click-throughs more if the background color is red, green, or blue? So a lot of not only retail analytics, but also on social media is being generated through how you behave in the retail outlet or online. Now, this, of course, like we said, is dependent on how you actually purchase, what you actually purchase, how much you spend on it. Now, another thing which is actually happening in retail outlets, which you might not be aware of, is that there is an eyeball tracking, your eyeball, how it is moving. So there's a lot of eyeball tracking that is happening in retail outlets. When you walk into a retail outlet, they have displayed a lot of, let's say, banners, in-store banners, POS displays, in-store advertisements. Now, what they want to see is, how did the advertisement catch your attention? If it did, how long did you look at it? Did you actually read the message? Then again, when I look at the product placement, when I come to the shelves where the products are placed, if there is a new product, did the packaging catch the attention of the customer? Did he, most of the times we do see that when we go to a retail outlet, we are buying something. We pick up the product. We suppose it's a new product. Maybe it caught our attention. We picked up the product. We looked at it. We turned it back in front. We looked at the price and then put it back. So am I a customer who is driven by price? I get to know from there. Am I a person who looks at your product but finally buys a competitor's product? So all this eyeball tracking is getting done in retail outlets. Without your knowledge, yes, it is getting done. And all that information is being churned into, there's a lot of analytics which is done on it, and you get actionable insights to work on. How many of your shoppers actually buy? And like I said, are they considering your products and then choose your competitors' products? So all this, is happening. So all this data is flowing in through various sources. Like I said, there is a point of sales data which is coming depending on what you actually buy. There is also this eyeball tracking information that is being churned in. So putting these together, we know how to improve our sales, or how to improve our brands, or what we need to improve in our brands, right? Now, So I've taken this example from marketing, and we've talked at length about it. So let us now talk a little about diagnostic analytics, which is essentially saying that, okay, you found a problem somewhere in a particular department of the organization, and we need to sort of work and see how to improve this. Now, let's say, for example, this company figured out that there were 5 attributes which were important for these companies. So there was customer service, complaint handling, delivery, quality, and value. There were 5 attributes which were important for the image of the company. Now, they went around asking customers, how important do you think is customer service? And, you have to give it numbers from 0 to 4. And let's say people said 4, customer service is very important. And then they went around asking, where do you think our company, how many points would you give to our company in terms of customer service? And you got over many customers, you got an average of 3. So the red line, in this spider graph, the red line, the maroon line, essentially shows how important is this particular attribute in the minds of the customer. And the blue line shows where do I fall on this particular attribute in the minds of the customer. So my question to you here is, on these 5 attributes, can you tell me on which particular attributes I have exceeded the expectations of the customer? Can you tell me where I have exceeded the expectations of the customer? So wherever the blue line is above the red line. Could you put it in the chat box, please? Anyone? Yeah. So value is where I am exceeding the customer expectation. Now, which are those attributes where I am falling below the customer expectations? Where am I falling below? Yeah. So I have quality, I have customer service, and I have complaint handling. I am falling below the customer expectations. And in terms of delivery, I'm meeting their expectations. So what are my problem areas that I need to focus on if I need to improve the image of my company? I need to work on customer service, complaint handling, and quality. And I seriously need to work on quality because I'm really, falling far below their expectations, right? Now, okay, so the same kind of spider graph be drawn for, let's say, my company versus 2 of my main competitors. So I'm brand 1. So the blue line depicts brand 1. The maroon line and the green line depict brand 2 and 3. And this is a comparison of brands for cars, let's say. So what are the main attributes of cars? Price, fuel efficiency, safety, after-sales service, and aesthetics. So where do you think, in which areas do you think that I am falling, below my nearest competitor? Which are the areas where I'm falling below my competitor? Can you let me know in the chat box, please? Safety, aesthetics, correct. Safety and aesthetics, I'm falling below the maroon line. And the other places, I'm like for fuel efficiency, I match brand 2. Again, after sales service, I'm better than brand 2. Price, I'm better than brand 2. Yeah. So I know where my problem areas are and where I can focus. Now let's look at another example. Now in diagnostic analytics, there is this Pareto Principle which actually started off, which helped us to figure out where the defects were. Now, what does the Pareto Principle really say? The Pareto Principle says that 80% of your defects come from 20% of the reasons. Now, I had some data available to me. So this was a company which was manufacturing paper, okay? And in the process of manufacturing paper, they realized that, they had to waste a lot of paper because of certain types of defects. Now, what are they name those defects? So some of them are warpage, damage, pin marks, scratches, etc. And 80% of the loss was coming from maybe just 4 or 5 important reasons. So could you, now, for example, if you could see the blue charts, the blue boxes essentially show how much is getting wasted because of that particular defect. And the orange boxes are the cumulative percentages. Now, if you were to look at this particular visual description of the data, could you sort of let me know where is 80% of the wastage or defects coming from? Because of which reasons? Could you put that in the chat box, please? Black spot, yes. So all the reasons still black spot. So warpage, damage, pin marks, scratches, silver streaks, black spot. Very good, Isha. Thank you. All right. So essentially, we do get to see where the problem areas are. And if we are able to control these 5-6 kind of defects, our wastage in paper production will be less, right? And less wastage means less cost and better profitability, right? So now this concept of the Pareto Principle, the 80-20 rule, was also sort of applied in other areas. Like, for example, it was also applied in controlling inventory costs. So I have this huge warehouse where I have these, brands of bicycles lying with me, Run Road 5,000, 1,000, 4,000, etc. So these are brand names of bicycles. And how many quantities I have in hand and what is their inventory value. And so what I need to figure out is 80% of my inventory carrying cost is coming from which brands that I'm holding. And I very clearly am able to see that these brands marked in red are the ones which are causing the problem. So if I can reduce the inventory of these, I will be, able to reduce my inventory carrying costs. Of course, like I always said, analytics is a continuous procedure. So today it could be these, at this snapshot of time, it could be these particular brands. As you move forward, there could be another set of brands which are doing that. So it's a continuous process. But you apply this principle, this particular technique to sort of understand how to move forward. All right. So having sort of talked about the some kind of diagnostic analytics that you can do, like for example, we talked about the Pareto Principle, the spider charts, etc. I now move on to predictive analytics. Now, like I said, what do we do in predictive analytics is essentially use past trends, use how, let's say revenues have been moving, how sales have been happening, etc. And we try and use certain techniques to predict how we can move in the future. So some of these techniques that we use are correlation regression analysis, sentiment analysis, clustering, time series model. Now, how these are actually done, like I said, you will be learning the nitty-gritties of how to apply these models in your courses. But I'm just giving you a flavor here in the webinar. So I'll just take you through 1 or 2 examples of predictive analytics. Now, as you can see for this particular chart, there is this company which has been advertising, okay, and they've been achieving some kind of sales. So when I plot it as a scatter graph, I use regression analysis and I try and get a trend line. Okay, so I see that this is the kind of pattern. As I increase my advertising, my sales moves in this direction. So now I can predict that if I were to spend 20 lakhs, what would my sales be, assuming that it follows the same trend. Like I said, when we use predictive analytics, we are making this assumption that all other environmental conditions, market conditions remain same. There's no change there. But at least within this particular domain, we can figure that if I were to spend 20 lakhs, okay, so there's a probability that my sales would be around this much, since it has been following this particular trend. So regression is one particular technique that I use for predictive analytics. Cluster analysis is another technique that we use for predictive analytics. Now, what does cluster analysis do? Cluster analysis is essentially trying to figure out or find clusters of customers. Okay, so how they are behaving, how much they spend on your product, how frequently they buy your product, how much money they're spending on the product. And so you do find clusters of these customers depending on their customer behavior. And you also take into account their demographics. So how old they are, what is their educational background, etc. Now, once I'm able to map these clusters, I'm able to run better marketing campaigns. For example, if I know that in this particular, let's say the yellow cluster, my product in the markets which are available in that neighborhood, in that cluster, my product units which sell are 100 grams. Whereas in the blue cluster, the product unit sells in, let's say, 500 grams. So that gives me an actionable insight on which I can move forward and say, okay, in the markets which are in this blue area, I will keep that particular SKU. Whereas in the yellow area, I will keep the one which sells more in that yellow area, right? So these are some techniques which we use in predictive analytics. Now, let me take you through a few techniques which we use in prescriptive analytics. Like I said before, what exactly is prescriptive analytics? It's like you are the doctor. You're going to tell the organization, okay, this is what you need to do. This is what you don't need to do. This is your roadmap, how you move forward, okay? You have certain objectives that you have to meet. You might want to maximize revenues, you want to maximize sales, you want to reduce your costs. So this is the objective that you need to meet. At the same time, organizations will have a few constraints in terms of resources. Now that could be finance, that could be, machine hours, labor hours. So those could be constraints. Now this particular example that I've got in front of you, I'll explain what this is. So essentially, this is a company which is trying to place an ad, in one of the programs. They have a certain ad budget which they have, and that's about 195 lakhs that you can see here at the bottom. So they have 195 lakhs at their disposal. For every month, they can spend that much. Now, they have also got this information that for a 30-second ad, this is what it is going to cost them in the various programs. So someone says 8.5, 7.4 lakhs, whatever. Okay. They also have this demographic information available to them, which means how many people, so how many women in the age group of 18 to 30 watch Republic 9 p.m. news are available to watch this, 20 lakhs. So women in the age group of 31 to 40, I have 23 lakhs. And similarly for the males. So I have this demographic information available to me. I have the cost per 30 seconds available to me. I also have the probability figures. What is the probability that if I air an ad on Republic News at 9 p.m., what is the probability that it will be seen? What is the probability of getting an exposure? What is the probability of getting an impression? I'm sure the youngsters would understand what an impression means in social media. So that is what you're talking about. A similar thing you're talking about in TV ad exposure. Okay. So I have this information to me. And I was, if you were the head of this particular and you had to decide where to put ads, what would you want to do? What would your objective be? You put it on the chat box, please. I've explained all the information. You are the head and you need to decide, you've been given a budget. What would you want to maximize or what would you want to do? What would your decision area be? Could you put it on the chat box, please? Anyone? Maximum exposure in minimum cost. Yeah, very good, Isha. All right. So what I do is, this is the objective that I need to meet. And so for that, what I would do is really, I would run it through maybe solver or something and do a certain bit of calculations. And the solver would give me a result and say, okay, you need to place 19 ads probably in the Kapil Sharma show, 3 ads in the Balika Badhu show, and 1 in the India Today 9 p.m. news. Okay, so this is your demographic, this is what they watch, and for your particular program, this is what you need to, this is where you need to place your ads. So essentially what prescriptive analytics is doing is it is showing you the optimal use of resources. You have these resources in hand. At the same time, you have to meet a certain objective. So it's essentially saying these are your do's, these are your don'ts. This is what you need to do. Okay, it's prescribing a roadmap for you to move forward. So what I've really done is, through these examples, I try to pick up examples from every domain. And through these examples, what I've tried to do is take you through the realm of all the 4 different kind of analytics, the tools and techniques. I have not bothered you with the actual details of how the calculations are done, but yes, I've shown you the outputs. So, and we've seen examples from HR, marketing, operations, and how we need to sort of move forward. Now, where is analytics used? How is it being used today, and where is it being used? And could you all this customer information that people are gathering about you, would you have any idea of where it is being used? How analytics? Could you give me a few examples in the chat box of where analytics is being used as of now? Participants, if you could just mention it in the chat box. Sales forecasting, okay, very good. Growth of the company, all right. Cricket, healthcare, management, okay, Manasvi, all right. Predict the weather, very good, Rishabh, yeah. Banking, yeah. So you do, which means you are aware of where it is being used. Very good. Okay, so let's predicting stock market prices, very good. Predict COVID cases, yes, of course. Yes, so you do understand where it's being used. And of course, what we also need to see is, what we see regularly is, let's say, recommender systems. I'm sure all of you have watched or listened to YouTube videos, and you've listened to songs on YouTube. What happens? Depending on the content that you're listening to, YouTube gives you a playlist. So they already have a playlist ready for you, what you can hear. Okay. Now, depending on the kind of books that you're purchasing on Amazon, what does Amazon do? Once you purchase a particular book, depending on the content, it says, okay, there is a similar book. Would you like to buy this also? Or what they do is, through cluster analysis, they have identified customers who are similar in their demographics and their reading interest with you. So what do they say? There is this earlier person who bought this particular book. He also bought this. Would you like to buy it? So recommender systems, based on whether it is content-based filtering or collaborative filtering, they're basically urging you, they're providing you, recommending things to you by which you can also buy more. Okay, so one place where analytics is being used, which we see regularly, is recommender systems. I'm sure all of you have come across this. Okay, another big area where analytics is being used is in social media. Now, all of us are active on social media. We do sort of interact with social media. We spend quite a bit of time on social media. So my question to you is, would you sort of know what kind of information they are gathering from you in your interaction while you're on social media. Could you give me a few guesses here on the chat box, please? Could you write what information they're picking out from you, from your behavior? Interests and activities. Very good, Manasvi. Likes, dislikes, searches, advertisement interests. Yes. Very good, Tarun. Yeah. Ads for institutions. Yeah, they're providing ads for institutions. They know your location. Very good, Ekta. Yes. Emotional attitude. Yes, Madhuranti. Correct. Rishabh, I think they need to make money. Yes, of course. And we'll talk about it. The time that you are online. Yes, Manvi. Okay. All right. So let's talk a little about social media analytics. What exactly is the information that they are picking out from you? Okay. Now, let's say between just Facebook and WhatsApp. I mean, forget even all the other platforms. Between Facebook and WhatsApp itself, they, for example, know what time you sleep, what time you get up. Okay. They know whether you sleep, you have a sound sleep or you're a light sleeper. Do you get up in the middle of the night and are you looking at your WhatsApp messages? Are you going on social media? What do you do when you get up? You suddenly wake up at night. What do? You don't have anything else to do. You do browse, right? So from there, they can make out whether you have a sound sleep or you're a light sleeper. They exactly know whether you have a job, whether you're professional, whether you're a serious professional. They also know how dedicated you are to your job. Okay. If you're a person who during your working hour, you're spending a lot of time on social media, so they can make out that you're not spending, you're not conscientious. You're not a conscientious person. You're not dedicated to your job. You're spending so much time on Facebook. Are you a person who, uploads a photo on Facebook and then waits for approval, who's waiting for likes and comments? So once you've uploaded a photo on Facebook, do you keep going back to Facebook, every 5 minutes to check whether you've got likes, whether you've got any comment? So from there, they can make out whether you're a person who has low self-esteem, who needs others to validate or say, beautiful pic, lovely pic. So you need others' validation. So what I'm trying to essentially try and get to is from your behavior online, they get to know your they can make out your personality profile. Okay. Now, what is the personality profile? The big five model. So whether you're an extrovert or an introvert, whether you're open to new experiences, whether you're agreeable, not, whether you're a conscientious person. So like I said, even during your work hours, if you're spending too much time on Facebook, they know you're not dedicated towards your job. So are you a neurotic person? Do you have low self-esteem? So what I'm trying to say is, depending on your interaction with social media, just being there, even if you're not writing anything, even by your just being there, by how you move across the various platforms, they have your personality profile. They've built your personality profile. They know so much more about you than you know about yourself. And that is what they're going to use to, like someone said, earn revenues. Okay. Now, I'm ready to sort of, let's say my interests are baking, gardening, painting, whatever. Okay. And I want to see this new video of, let's say, baking. Okay. Now they know they have me engaged. I am just dying to watch this new baking video. What do they do? Okay. Serve an ad. Okay. Show her an ad. Maybe you can skip the ad, but till 5 seconds, you cannot skip the ad before 5 seconds, right? Okay. So for 5 seconds, they have your attention. So during that 5 seconds, serve her an ad. Okay. So this is the kind, and that is where they're earning their revenues from. You are not paying for that platform. It's the advertiser who's paying for your viewing. Because what are these platforms really wanting from you? Essentially, they're wanting your engagement, your attention. You don't realize, but you're becoming addicted to it. And they're trying to manipulate your behavior. They are wanting you to behave in a way that they want you to behave, not how you want to behave. For example, let's say, okay, every morning I get an email saying, this particular student ABC, has joined this particular company. Okay, say congrats. Now tell me something. If you're sending me an email, why can't I just say a congrats there on the email? Why do I have to go to LinkedIn to say congrats to the kid? Yeah. So what they're trying to do is essentially they want you to come to their platform. Now, once you go to LinkedIn, you will see 2-3 other posts of 2-3 other kids. Then you will say congrats, whatever. They have completed their work anniversary. So they want you to come to their platform. Many a times I get email saying that someone tagged you in a photo on Facebook. Someone commented on your photo on Facebook. Now, why could you not just show me the photo on my email so that I could just see and be done with it? Now, when I get an email like this saying that, okay, someone tagged you in a photo, I'm very curious to know which photo was it that I got tagged in? Which photo was this that I got commented on? So what do? Immediately go to the Facebook platform, go there, and then I get sucked in. I probably see maybe 2-3 more posts. So they've got your attention. They're wanting you to behave in a particular way, and you are acting like a puppet in their hands. So essentially, all this is happening through analytics. They are essentially they're nudging you to move on to their platform. They are figuring out how you behave while you're on their platform and how they can predict what behavior will happen next. So this is a totally new and very interesting direction where analytics is being used. Okay. And it holds, you have a lot of jobs and opportunities coming this way. So this is essentially area which we sort of need to learn about how analytics works. And not only in social media, but like I said, analytics today is being used in all domains. So anywhere and everywhere you will have to help the organization with analytics. So I do hope I've sort of covered most of the points here. So I'm sort of done now. And thank you all for your attention. And of course, if you have any questions, any queries, any feedback, you might put it in the chat box. I'll be happy to answer.
Yes, you can put it on the chat or the Q&A and we will look at it. And
yeah, thank you, Rishabh.
I think there is
Any more questions, any queries, any questions, please?
Haven't got any questions as yet. Anybody?
Okay, I'm getting a lot of thank you. So thank you, everyone.
Yes. And yeah, I think they enjoyed it, said informative.
It was very nice interacting with all of you also.
Okay, ma'am, there is one question. The student asked on WhatsApp. So the question is,
exit was driven by analytics? Yes, very much so.
The student is asking whether the business analytics can be treated as a science or it can be treated as an art. Nirja ma'am, can you hear?
Okay, thank you all. It's been very nice interacting with you and getting your comments also.
There was a question given to you on WhatsApp. Professor Arora, you need to answer it. Is data analytics a science or an art? Somebody wants to know.
You're muted.
No, I'm unmuted. Why don't you stop sharing and then I'll tell you. Probably you can't hear us. Both Siddharth and I are talking to you. We are unmuted.
Shoma ma'am, you're muted.
No, I'm unmuted. Can you hear me? Siddharth, you can repeat the question for her.
Ma'am, can you hear me? Nirja ma'am?
Nija ma'am, you can't hear us. Both of us are talking.
Okay, I'm writing the question.
There was a question on WhatsApp. Okay, I think you can put it on chat or something. Oh, there.
Yeah.
Okay, got it?
Okay. So I have a question. Business analytics is an art or science? Yeah. Okay. Very nice question. Okay. So business analytics is both. It's an art and a science. It's a science to the level that, okay, whatever tools and techniques that you need to use, you employ, there it is essentially, it's very scientific. There are, it's mathematically driven. There are algorithms done and things like that. But it's an art in the sense that, let's say, when I'm presented with data, you need to be creative. You need to be brainstorming. You need to ask yourself, okay, this is the raw data presented to me. There is huge amount of data. What do I want to see? So to that level, the kind of, things that you might want to draw out from there, the things that you might want to analyze, to that level, it's an art. Again, once the techniques are employed, you get a few results. Now, how do you interpret those results? How do you prescribe to the organization how to move forward? What do you interpret from those results is an art. So if I would say both of the business analytics is a combination of both, an art and a science. Okay, so I have another one.
You had another question from Joy who said, are exit polls driven by analytics?
Yes, I said yes, it is. So there is another question from Joy. Is shelf life of a non-consumable
consumable product also determined?
What would you mean by a non-consumable product, Joy? Example? Manasvi says, do we need to have knowledge of programming and statistics? Not really. There are a lot of tools. You need a basic level of statistics, of course. But again, statistics is not really, people don't need to get overwhelmed by statistics, because today we have tools which perform those statistical tests. So you have Excel. All that you need to do is, all that you basically need to understand, Manasvi, is what is the kind of data I have, in what form do I have it, what is the analysis that I want to do. So once it drives you to say, this is the kind of thing that I want to look at, then you know what, tests to apply and stuff like that. Okay. So, how would ads which are skipped on YouTube? Okay. So Isha, here what really happens is, like I said, even whether you view an ad or you don't view an ad, even your online behavior is telling a lot about you. You don't realize it, you're not conscious about it, but they are gathering so much information about you that you don't even know what it is all about. Okay, so even you don't know what you're doing, but they know so much about you. Yeah. Manasvi, can a person says, so even a person from an arts background can pursue it easily? Yes, of course. So like I said, in our PGDM course, what happens is, in the first, let's say first year, you go through all subjects. So you go through the basics of statistics and all that. So this understanding level comes in. And then all that you need is understanding of the software tools. Like you could do it in R, you could do it in Python, Tableau, R, SPSS, wherever.
Ma'am, for
so
Joy
that you can easily pursue that.
For Joy Gangli, he had said like cosmetics is that non-consumable product.
Okay.
So please answer.
Yeah, so Joy, for example, like cosmetics and food products, there is a shelf life that is, given by the company. So obviously, because cosmetics are some things that you use on your face and your skin, so you need to be very careful. So that doesn't need analytics. That just, depending on the chemicals that you use.
Analytics would probably be used for, when you would reorder and fill that shelf again. Refill the shelf. That's how they would use the analytics, yes.
So Manasvi says, are data science and business analytics different? Not at all. They are like, intermingled. It's like more like a Venn diagram. So, there are intersection. So there's, like I said, again, within analytics, it's not like it's watertight compartments. So it's the similar thing for data science and business analytics. Yes. Okay. Any other questions? Any other queries?
No, I think so. I think we are done.
Yeah, we are sort of done.
Okay. All right. So I would like to give a big thank you to you, Professor Arora, for such a informative session. And I think they all enjoyed it and they got a peep into what lies ahead and how we can use all this data and use different kinds of tools and then, come up with all kinds of analysis to see, like you said, you gave 4 different divisions of how the analysis is done. And I think that was very, very interesting. So thank you once again for your time. And I'm sure they will get to know a lot more as they keep on being with us and go through the courses that we will offer. Thanks once again.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you once again.